The first real computer game I played in the late 90s was the original Age of Empires. Moving from the trial version onto the full game, I immediately started making my own scenarios. And that has been one of my main hobbies ever since. Of all the following versions, Age of Empires 2 is my favorite. In my youth, I had LAN parties playing that game solely. And at the university, I wrote a bachelor thesis about Age of Empires 2, and with good results even. With HD, I started taking part in the Steam community by playing more multiplayer games and uploading scenarios. It has been very exciting for me to see how people react to my contributions to the workshop. So to me, Age of Empires 2 is a great and challenging platform for realizing my game ideas. The great feedback on my scenarios, especially my Europe map, gratifies me immensely. So thank you all who have contributed to that in some way, and among them, thank you Al-Kalim.
Hello, I'm Street Pete and I've been playing Age of Empires online since November 2013. And I can definitely say that HD is what got me to play online. Seeing it on Steam was the way that I found out that people actually played Age of Empires still. And I think that's been the important part with HD, that so many people have rediscovered the game. And therefore HD has helped bring in a lot of new viewers and players. So in that way HD has helped revitalize the game. And that's despite the many flaws that I think most people will agree that HD has and have had through all the history, but it's been good enough to make people interested in the game, at least. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say.
Hey guys, it's me, Smarthy. So I was asked to talk about how Age of Empires 2 has impacted my life. As some of you may know, I started playing pretty regularly a few years ago, close to 4 years ago, and since then, I made so many friends. I've become a part of this community, and I've grown to really love the game and love the people and the community aspect of everything. I've been lucky enough to meet people that I've met online in real life. I've met people across the US, and I've gone to Europe several times to meet people, which has been awesome. I can't even say what these friendships mean to me. It's definitely changed my life. My life is different now because of Age of Empires, and I can't even begin to thank the creators enough. I don't even think about that often, but it's so cool that we have this game to make this community and meet people and all that. So yep.
Hey everyone, my name's Nubkex. For me, the best part about Age of Empires 2 HD was actually the sounds, the music, the sound effects for all the different buildings, and the little voices of all the different units. The classic shh of the villagers. It's hard to go wrong with it. It's hard to go wrong. I'm definitely not a competitive Age of Empires 2 player. I just enjoy the little things. I enjoy it as a chill game to something to just sit down to and enjoy the sense of culture, the sense of history, just the music, the different styles of the buildings, and just building a nice peaceful agrarian society, gathering all of the materials in the entire world, peacefully coexisting with everybody on the map, until then at the very end making a giant army of like 200 longbowmen and murdering everything. Very peaceful way of doing things. So yeah, that's what I like about Age of Empires 2. There you go.
For me, HD is what brought me back to Age of Empires 2. When Microsoft shut down integrated multiplayer through the Zone in 2006, I figured that was it. Age of Empires 2 had a good run, but at that point it really looked like Microsoft was saying it was time to move on. Like a lot of people, I didn't know part of the community switched to third-party clients to keep Age 2 alive, but even if I had, I probably would have expected the game to fade over time down to just a small core of veteran players. I certainly wouldn't have ever expected it to be as popular again as it was on the Zone, or for people to ever make a living off of it. Eventually, it came to Steam in the form of Age of Empires 2 HD, or I guess 2013 it's called now, and that's when I found out about it. That version in particular gave an easy way for players like me to come back to the franchise that a lot of us thought had gone away for good. For me personally, it wasn't long after that I started my YouTube channel, which has become such a huge part of my life, and I'd even say a part of my self-identity. It's given me a fun outlet and a connection with so many people that I otherwise would never have met. Now that's not to imply that HD is the only reason for all of these things. There's also the original developers of the game, the Forgotten Empires team, and countless others in the community that have helped it become what it is today. But there's no denying the HD release on Steam brought back millions of people in some capacity, whether they be content creators and community leaders, or just casual players who unwind with the odd game against the AI. That being said, hopefully the community is ready to let go and move on to Definitive Edition, if it is in fact an upgrade. There's exciting stuff around the corner, and I can't think of a better time to be a fan of the franchise.
Hey, it's Nano Jade. I love Age of Empires 2, not only for the RTS aspect of the game, but for the community surrounding it. And without this community, I probably would have played a lot less, because the team games that I've played in Age of Empires have been some of the absolute most fun times that I've ever experienced in gaming. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out with Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition.
Initially, the HD version was just a means to an end for me. I wanted to play in the stream games of my back then hero, Resonance 22, which she exclusively played on HD, so obviously that was the version I had to get on top of Boobly. We all made fun of the constant desyncs, the insufferable lag, or the basically random on-off elo system. But what made me stay was that the additional content, despite all the obvious technical letdowns, was excellent. The Forgotten Empires team created 3 visually stunning and in terms of gameplay to some degree even innovative DLCs that kept this game fresh. Personally, African Kingdoms had the biggest effect on my affection for this game, as it introduced 3 of my favorite civs, Somalians, Berbers, and Ethiopians. With both African Kingdoms and Rise of the Rajas, it was great fun abusing the initially clearly OP civs and ranting along until the rebalance finally came through, but it was fun the whole way. All these geographic assets such as elephants for boars, or water buffaloes for sheep, or even cows, it all added to the game and it fitted perfectly into this timeless style that this game has. And I still think that Age of Empires 2 is the most timeless game of its genre, maybe of its generation, even more so than its successors like Age of Mythology or Age of Empires 3. I think it will still look fine in the future, and I'm not sure if we actually need this graphic update that we get through the Definitive Edition. So despite not being a good game on the technical level, the HD version made Warlord Kingdoms possible through its talented content creators, and for that, I think we should remember it fondly, despite what Definitive Edition might bring or might not bring to us.
Hi, my name is Resonance 22, and this is my short tribute to Age of Empires 2 HD Edition, now also known as Age of Empires 2 2013 on Steam. Some of you may know me for my tutorials, casting tournaments, Break the Meta, the Resonance Bot 5-1C custom AI, and supporting the scene for AoE 2 HD since day one. So obviously I have a lot to say on the game, and unfortunately due to the sudden California wildfires, not much time to say it. Thank you Alkalim for the opportunity, man. I think what has always made Age of Empires 2 HD Edition so special to me is that it really preserves the feel, look, sound, and gameplay of the original CD version that we all know and love, while focusing primarily on accessibility and quality of life improvements, as well as Steam Workshop support. And of course, the animated water. I think that despite the rather rocky launch and patch 4.0, after many necessary patches, it still proved to be a recipe for success in my eyes, by bringing countless players back to the Age of Empires 2 ecosystem and providing thousands of hours of entertainment for the more casual community. As far as AoE 2 HD tournaments I've casted, the Battle for Angkor was amazing, the Return of the King Grand Finals, and also the Escape AoE Elimination Draft. Besides that and all the memorable community games, I absolutely adore my Resonance Bot 5-1C custom AI. It's just so much fun to play with, and a really unique AI. I'm very fond of it. Now, it never felt to me like AoE 2 HD was ever pushing the envelope too much. Obviously, its greatest weakness was stability, but thankfully that did improve substantially near the end. One could easily argue on the contrary that another weakness of AoE2 HD is that it didn't try to push that envelope enough. The game was certainly behind user patch 1.4 and 1.5 with features, and it never had dedicated servers. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, on the other hand, may be exciting for some players, because it is certainly more ambitious, offering a complete overhaul for graphics, sound, music, some impactful gameplay changes, and actually having dedicated servers for multiplayer. I think a lot of it will depend on just how many changes players really want. There's also, of course, the new expansions that Forgotten Empires released for both HD and DE. I had the pleasure of working directly on the African Kingdoms and Rise of the Rajas at Forgotten Empires on AoE2 HD, so I can vouch that the quality, passion, and faithfulness to the original vision for the game has been really incredible. These expansions and AoE2 HD have breathed new life into a game that, hilariously, was obviously never dying, because Age of Empires 2 is just that good. I'm convinced that people will be playing this game forever, and rightfully so. While I've always been a variety gaming channel, and note I really do appreciate everyone who's let me branch out in peace, know that I still do the occasional AoE2 stream and video. And I will always be playing the game, and I will always be a fan of Age of Empires. Know that I'm still around, very interested in AoE 4, and that I'm really looking forward to what's in store for Age of Empires in general. In fact, I'd love to do a retrospective on AoE2 HD, but first, I wanted to do this. It's been great to see Microsoft's renewed interest in the franchise. GLHF everyone, and warm wishes from Resonance 22.
Alright, so what does Age of Empires 2 HD mean to me? I'm sure it means a lot to different people, but for me it definitely brings me back to my childhood. I used to play hours upon hours on the scenarios that were given to us, playing against the AI, and of course watching my hundreds of longbowmen mow down elephant after elephant, because that's the most interesting thing that my 10-year-old self could find. I also enjoyed making scenarios with my 500 elite Teutonic Knights against the 1500 or so militia that would, of course, my Teutonic Knights would come out on top with very few casualties, but a whole lot of death. I do have to say though, that since I've started playing Age of Empires 2 on HD, I've not only looked to playing random maps, but I was also hooked on the custom scenarios. And as with most people, it does start with Castle Blood Assault, CBA, as it kind of helps you learn the basics of the game, the counters, the unique units, team bonuses, how to work as a team, and, getting your micro down, at least a little bit. Of course, one of the first maps that I've actually played was one of the Lord of the Ring maps, and it's ever inspired me to make one of my own with more bells, more whistles, cool quests, and that epic feeling of good versus evil. And of course, I'll let you decide if, that was the case. And whatever the verdict may be, it definitely helped me down the rabbit hole of making maps. And I'm sure everyone doing this in a small little interview will be saying the same about the community, but for Age of Empires 2, it has been absolutely incredible. The feedback that you guys provide, the fun chats that you guys have in game, especially, the testing on custom maps and that kind of thing, awesome. And of course, even with the good and the bad, it definitely helped me shape my future maps and help me push myself further as a map maker, as a content creator, so that I can do stuff with a scenario editor that I didn't even think was possible when I first started making maps. I know that Alkalim wanted me to talk a little bit on the Steam Workshop, which I can definitely say is completely an awesome tool. It's a great place to share your contact for everyone to play it, and it's really easy to use. You go on the Steam Workshop, hit that subscribe button, and you have everything at your fingertips. Everything is automatically installed, and you're able to go ahead and play it almost immediately. And it also doesn't take very long to upload any maps, or AIs, or mods, or music, you name it. As long as it's related to the game, you can definitely throw it in there. It may be a bit tricky the first time that you try it, but once you've done it once or twice, uploading things on the Steam Workshop is really easy peasy. And as for the future, you can definitely expect me to be on Age of Empires 2, the Definitive Edition. I was definitely lucky enough to get a beta key and try it out for a little bit. And as for Age of Empires 2, except with, of course, much better graphics, and I definitely cannot wait to play with those new civs one more time. And for those who know me, that means that a new version or / expansion means one thing: a new Lord of the Rings map will be on the way, and I definitely hope to see most of you guys there.
Hey, I'm Tetanus. I fell in love with AoE 2 the first time I played it, so when the HD edition was released on Steam, I knew I had to get a 4-pack for my friends. The HD edition is also what first brought me in contact with the Steam Workshop, and the supportive comments there are what encouraged me to produce random map scripts and other content for the community in all the years to come.
Hey, this is Ornlu. So what did AoE 2 HD mean for myself and for the community? Well, for the community at large, obviously it just brought so many people into the game. Even if that version of the game wasn't really the best, it was still enough to at least keep a lot of people interested. And eventually, especially once Rise of the Rajas came out, it just really started kickstarting the tournament scene again and just getting so many more people interested in the game. And just all the new civs and stuff that was finally starting to catch on. And me personally, I was sort of loosely following the scene, tournaments and AOC Zone and stuff like that before HD, but especially, again, once Rajas came out, I was getting more and more involved, and eventually that led to me even starting to want to stream. So obviously a bit of a mixed bag, but AoE 2 HD definitely has quite the lasting mark in the community.
I mean, HD, I think it was like a bridge, because I used to play AoE when I was a little kid, and then I obviously stopped because, Vupwe was kind of complicated and I didn't understand a lot of things about it. And then HD kind of just was like a bridge that brought me back to the game, which I really, really used to enjoy when I was little. And then I did meet, my nowadays really good friends like Stefan and Meadow and so on. So HD really for me has been like that gateway to the real game, which is now Vupwe with the new civilizations and such. So HD was what brought me back initially, and then going to Vupwe and getting 2K and all that, that is really what HD has allowed me to see and to achieve. All the tournaments and all the community, I think that's mainly what HD has been for me. It's been the gateway to the real game, and hopefully D can, replace Vupwe. I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know, but hopefully, I really do wish for the best for the game, and let's see what happens.
Hello everyone, my name is Nobody, and I've been an Age of Empires 2 caster in the community for the last 4 years, casting over 300 games on my YouTube and Twitch channel, as well as Vubly Official's YouTube and Twitch channel. So what does Age of Empires 2 HD Edition mean to me? So when I originally started watching videos on YouTube around 2011, there wasn't really a platform that I felt comfortable playing on because I really hadn't figured out the Vubly installation process at that point. So when I heard that the HD edition was going to come out in 2013, I got really excited for that. So as soon as that came out, I started playing the campaign that gives me the most nostalgia, Barbarossa, and I remember how excited I was to play that first mission, the Holy Relics, once again after I hadn't played it in at least 10 years. So I played through all the campaigns, eventually started playing the multiplayer, which was easy to pick up because I'd watched so many YouTube videos previously, and did pretty well in multiplayer, made a lot of friends there. But one of the things that I really loved about the HD edition was the Steam Workshop, and that was very useful to me as we were able to do a lot of different settings when I hosted community games. We were able to do a lot of unique stuff like Capture the Relic, Sudden Death, which I really loved, kept the game new and fresh, as well as the balance changes, which always kept the game new and fresh, and eventually were ported to Vubly, and eventually to Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. So that really kept the game new for me. Other things in the Steam Workshop I loved, we had a bunch of different unique kinds of maps that you could play as, and I always enjoyed hosting community games with that, as well as the Barbarossa Ultra Hardcore campaigns, which if you don't know, someone on the Steam Workshop made the original campaigns much more ridiculously hard than they actually were. So that ended up being my most popular series and also the one I had the most fun with. As well, we did some coaching on HD Edition because there was such a good ease of access to get players to play on the HD Edition compared with Vubly. So what am I looking forward to for Definitive Edition? I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all the improvements that can be made upon HD Edition because everyone knows it's not definitely not a perfect client. although it definitely had its benefits, and I'm really looking forward to the next iteration as we go on to Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. So thank you for having me. I hope this sheds a little bit of light on the HD edition and what we can look forward to. Thank you.
Mara von Rocket Beans TV. Ich verbinde mit Age of Empires vor allem die Community. Ich habe früher angefangen zu spielen, einfach zu Hause mit der Familie und dachte, okay, das ist jetzt so ein Ding, das machen wir und sonst spielt keiner Age of Empires 2. Stellte sich heraus, es gibt eine richtig große Community, es gibt richtig viele Profispieler, die das saugut spielen und es unterscheidet sich immens von der Art und Weise, wie ich das ganz am Anfang gespielt habe. Wir haben hier sehr lange unser Format Rage of Empires gehabt auf Rocket Beans TV und haben sich so viele coole Leute gefunden, die das auch spielen, die da mitmachen wollen, die uns unterstützt haben. Und ja, man kann eigentlich sagen, es ist auf jeden Fall mein Lieblingsspiel aller Zeiten, weil es sich auch ständig neu erfindet. Es kommen immer wieder neue Sachen raus, wie jetzt die Definitive Edition und es bleibt immer spannend.
So when HD came out, people didn't really know what to expect, especially from the competitive scene. We were already playing with widescreen, so there was no big advantage of switching into HD, but still a lot of people put a lot of hope into Steam and the potential of a growing community. And I know that with my bad internet I couldn't download the game fast enough, and I was watching the Zero Empire stream, who was kind of the biggest streamer at that time, and like 350 people watching and trying to get to the new game, incredible hype. And yeah, I played it the full first day and night, and yeah, sadly the game didn't really develop into the competitive scene, right? For example, people didn't want to get rushed that much, so we started, even when we once, with the 3-player map. So longer rush distances, people surviving with longer. And then people gave feedback, and suddenly map size increased to even 4 players because people felt like they were rushed too much. And stuff like this kind of always kept us on Woobly, but then we had all the big expansions, and I think without the work of Cision there, kind of the father of all the expansions and Forgotten Empires, we wouldn't be where we are now. And Age of Empires sold several million times. The expansions made it so much better for all of us in the competitive scene and also for the casual viewers. So I'm pretty happy that we, had that. Obviously, then Microsoft saw, okay, a lot of people bought that game and there's a lot of interest all of a sudden, and sponsored all the tournaments over at Escape, AoE, and well, then we had the transition also at Woobly with Wololo Kingdoms. So I feel the game, especially with the expansions, benefited so much. And well, HD, although obviously we know it's still not perfect, or like not far worse, but worse than Woobly, they improved a lot and kept a lot of people in that game, right? I don't want to think about like how big the Age of Empires community could have been if Age of Empires DE was like close to perfect or close to like user patch standards we have it now, and everyone who bought it would have working ELO, less bugs, and so forth and so on. How big the community could have been. Let's pray that DE will deliver, and yeah, I'm in general very happy that we had Age of Empires on Steam, and so many casuals are still playing it there in single player, and so many people were able to make the jump onto the competitive scene on either Steam or now on Woobly, and yeah, I have high hopes for the future.
Hello everyone, a warm welcome here from Dream X Legend X. You may know me as leader of the most popular deathmatch clan in Age of Empires 2, and as the 10th most played deathmatch player in the HD edition, I would like to give a special goodbye to a game we all know and love as shaping the modern generation of Age of Empires 2 players. From Michi RM to Green Arabia Deathmatch, HD offered so much. But not only this, it helped me develop as a player. Having met so many great people and having had a truly wonderful time too, it was lots of fun. But now, as the HD era comes to a close and we say hello to the next generation DE, I would like to thank everyone personally for making HD possible and all the people that made my time wonderful there. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you on DE. Goodbye.
Hi, this is Maggie. So for me, Age of Empires 2 HD marks the start of me playing online games. I have played Age pretty much since its release, but only versus real-life friends and never online. In 2013, a friend told me about the re-release of our favorite childhood game, which is when I set up a Steam account to play HD. Yay! I remember being so bad, people literally didn't want to play with me. That's when I started to look up tutorials and build orders. And eventually I discovered Zero Empires and later the Viper and started to watch a lot of their videos on YouTube, like a lot. However, I wasn't really involved in the community until late 2017, which is when I joined the Gamescom tournament and was introduced to the Twitch and Discord community that Age has to offer. And I hope with the release of the Definite Edition, a lot of people will take a similar journey and discover this awesome community.
Hi, my name is Ramz Abdurrahim. I am one of the campaign designers on the Forgotten Empires team. I worked on Age of Empires 2 HD, Age of Empires 1 Definitive Edition, and Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Now for me as a scenario designer, Age of Empires really means to me, it means creativity and self-expression. I love going through and finding interesting historical characters and events and sharing them with players in the game. Now, Forgotten Empires, we once received a very powerful and heartfelt letter from a fan in Germany. I want to share that letter because it really shows how much a game can mean to people and the significance of a game. So he writes here, "Dear Forgotten Empires, my name is Alex. I'm 30 years old and a game developer based in southern Germany. I just want to thank you all for the work that you folks put into Age of Empires 2 HD and the expansion packs. I would also like to thank every employee from Ensemble Studios who now works in your house for all the work that went into the original Age of Empires, the expansion, and Age of Empires 2. And if you know any former Ensemble Studios employees who work anywhere else, please thank them in my name as well. This Wednesday, one of the biggest Age of Empires 2 fans, who always claimed that he never was such a big gamer, passed away. My father died at the age of 69. And when I checked his computer today, I saw that he spent exactly 2,018 hours in Age of Empires 2 HD and completed 99% of all achievements according to Steam. In addition to that, he spent countless hours in the original Age of Empires 2 pre-Steam as well as the original game. I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about 5,000 to 6,000 hours here had we kept track of it. He always loved history. He wrote many books, mostly about sports and medicine, but one book actually gathered him the rank of a historian himself. It was an encyclopedia of World War II and the idiocy of the Third Reich. Over the past years, whenever he felt the need to calm down or take some time out, he went back to his soldiers. The phrase, and forgive me for probably butchering the German here, the phrase "Ich werd nachher min Soldaten noch ein wenig rennen lassen," I'll just let my soldiers run around for a bit, was quite common for us. There was something soothing and relaxing about this game that just made him happy. And knowing that he loved this game so much makes me happy too. And it should make you feel extra proud. Playing AoE 2 was one of the few things that kept him sane during his cancer treatments. We're thankful for that. And damn, he was the master of whipping the AI's ass by rushing with walls solely consisting of towers. Long story short, thank you for your hard work. Cancer sucks, but you guys, you rock so much that I can't even put into words. All the best from Germany, Alex. Now I have to say that when we got this letter over Forgotten Empires, I think a lot of us kind of choked up a bit, teared a little bit. It's a very powerful, heartfelt message, and it just was very humbling to experience this and hear from Alex about his father. It just shows the power of these games. Yes, they're video games, but they really do mean a lot to people. And I think that's ultimately what Age of Empires means. Thank you.